like a prince, you'll look like a duke, you'll have that royal feeling. You can rest assured, you're dressed assured.
This'll be a go.
Are fit for a king.
This is Belvin Barstow, and you are listening to the East Coast Horror Group, Spooky.
East Coast Horror Group.
Well, hey, hello there, everyone. Thanks for coming hang out with us again on this, another episode of on Radio. We are your hosts, as always. That's me, I'm Drew. And with me, as always, Mr. Mike Flexler. What's up, Mike?
Oh, not too much. Another Thursday evening.
It is the first show we've had in a couple of weeks. So we missed all of you guys, and we want to thank you for coming out and hanging out with us, everyone in chat, everyone out there listening live, and also, of course, whoever downloaded this, we thank you as well. So,
thanks all around.
Thanks to your mother, and thanks to Tim Kretschmann again for helping us put this together. Couldn't do it without you, Tim. I love you. He's not gonna.
I know.
Okay. Tim actually caught the con crud, so he's not going to probably be as animated as he usually is. So that's a good thing for all of us.
There goes the show.
There goes the neighborhood.
This doesn't make sense in this situation.
Oh, shit. So, what's the big thing on the show today? We're going to recap Days of the Dead Lowellville, aren't we, Mike?
We're going to do that very thing.
So, we are less than a week removed, so it should still be pretty fresh in our minds. Figured I would go down the panel list first and kind of just talk about our experiences with that. But even before that, I just wanted to recap the Hall of Fame. And Mike, why don't you actually start with that? Because the first one was actually pretty close to you, and just wanted you to talk about it and kind of, you know, what you thought about that and the, you know, the feeling you had when you were up there and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Days of the Dead decided to nominate, or induct, I should say, PJ Souls and George Romero into the Hall of Fame. And also they played a little trick on Harry and Scott and said they were going to be inducting the other, but it was actually both of them going in to the Hall of Fame. So I inducted George Romero, put together a little tribute piece, said some words, and yeah, it was rough. It was I think the first time I actually felt a little something about his passing, and so it was a good it was good to do. I enjoyed it, played the thing, and you know, I think people enjoyed it, the ones that were there. So then PJ got her award. She's always great. And,
she is.
So that was cool to be there for that. So it was good. The Hall of Fame, I think it's a cool idea, and we'll get through. What did he say? Charlotte show, and then it'll just be once a year, I believe.
And they'll move it to every different location, I believe.
Yeah. So
what was it like? Did you expect them to ask you to do that for George Romero?
No, I didn't expect it at all. I didn't know who would be doing it or anything like that, and yeah, Adolfo just called me up one day and was like, "Hey, would you do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." So I was honored to be able to do it. For sure.
Did you feel any obligation or pressure to make sure that this was a good one?
Yeah. No, I didn't want to fuck that one up. Just for more for my sake, you know, being that I was a big Romero fan. I didn't want that to go to shit and the Hall of Fame and everything. So I hope it didn't go to shit. I didn't watch it yet.
No, it was good. I was there.
You were.
I saw it live.
I was picturing you naked the entire time. Is that what you're supposed to do?
Isn't that what you just every time you picture me, I usually am nude, correct?
Yeah, that's true. But it's in their underpants. That's it. Picture everybody in their underpants if you're afraid of public speaking.
Well, I don't wear underpants, so that's fine.
Well, it's awful mental image for everybody. So yeah, that was fun. What else do we do?
Whoa. Whoa, dude! What's the bubble at the end, dude? I never heard that before. That's fucking awful. What the was that, dude? God, it's more disgusting every time I fucking listen to it.
Man.
Jesus.
What was that bubble at the end?
Did you hear? It was like a damn gurgle or something. Fucking awful. Anyway. First panel of the weekend when we got there on Friday was none other than Mr. William Butler. And Mike, I know you had a good time with that one. I know William said that he really appreciated it and really had a good time.
He did. It's probably top 2 panels we've ever done.
This is Ramiro and then Butler, you think?
Yeah, I would definitely classify it as such. No, it didn't happen. There was no attendance, so we didn't go forward with the panel.
True.
It's a Days of the Dead first, actually.
It is.
So Louisville, step your game up, yo.
For Sheezy. Is that cool anymore? Did I just sound like a total asshole when I said that?
Yeah.
I usually sound like a total asshole when I say most things. But the second one we had was interesting. First time we had ever done a panel with Mr. Ernie Hudson.
Yep, we did that.
We did do that. And Ernie's 71 years old somehow. He still looks like he's in his 50s.
Yeah, that's
so I was
a fair assessment.
Blown away to hear that he was that old. Still in great shape. Still sharp, obviously. Not that 71 is really that. How old was Romero? 77? How old was Romero? 77?
Yeah, 78.
How old was Haru Nakajima?
853.
He's approximately 1 millennia old.
Old AF, as the kids would say.
Mr. Nakajima, do you remember the fall of the Roman Empire?
I think it was going
God, no, dude! No, you can't do that. We gotta edit that out. Whew. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and talk about Ernie Hudson some more. And Ernie didn't want to talk about movies or films or auditions or anything.
No.
He wanted to talk about the universe.
He did. Talked a lot about the universe, but he did give us some quotes as soon as he sat down on stage.
That's true. That was like, okay, I gotta get this out of the way. He was saying some shit that'll turn you white.
Which was probably my favorite.
But yeah, we kept trying to. He seemed like pissed off that we were trying to go back to the movie a couple of times. Did we get that? He was like, I'm sitting here trying to talk about the universe and you want to know about a movie. I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, that's why all of us are here.
And I love the time that he was like, well, they set a bunch of shit up. We did it, and they tore it down, and then something else came on. It's like, really? That's what you're giving us right now?
Yeah, I think I asked him just to kind of set up the scene and the shot for the, the final kind of battle there against Zool. And he was like, yeah, the set director put the stuff up. I read my script. They tore it down. That was the end. I'm like, fucking high? What are you serious right now?
Come on. Just make some shit up. We don't know.
Yeah. And everything was like, oh, so what about this role? Well, I was a single dad and I needed money.
Yeah. Yeah, very much. Very acting to him isn't that deep. It's truly just a job. Something he enjoys and loves, but he's very much like John Amplis. It's lines on a page. He brings them to life, and then that's it.
What the fuck?
It's not very interesting.
Next time we'll just have philosophy hour with Ernie Hudson.
Well, we're gonna get to do that because he's gonna be in Chicago.
There we go. Because it's not about the crucifixion.
About the resurrection.
Whatever the fuck that means. Anyway, Ernie Hudson's a wonderful man. Next.
He's nice.
Yeah, no, he was nice. He just didn't want to talk about movies at all.
Yeah.
He wanted to talk about the universe and the statistics of how likely we are to be here and how lucky we are. And
you can go 5 days without food.
oh, fuck, you're right! I forgot about that. He said that he knew that everything was going to be okay once he got older because he went with 5 days without food one time and realized that he could go longer. So it was what a fucking weird story. Now that I think about it, maybe he is losing his fucking mind.
Like, I wanna fucking talk about this point. People will ask, like, well, what's the hardest panel, or what, is the craziest shit? Like, you never know what's gonna happen. So you have this set of questions that you've been working on, and you're looking at them, and you pretty much know sort of how it's gonna go. And then you get on stage with these people and you ask the first question, and that sets the tone for the whole thing. And when you have someone that is completely, like, sort of avoiding all of your questions and making it something completely else, that's really hard to deal with sometimes.
Yeah, or when they answer 6 questions with one answer and you're like, fuck. How am I gonna build another 30 minutes off of this?
It's the worst. It's like he knew everything to say right then, and you're like, damn it.
That was so entertaining when he did that, guys. From those of us in the audience, I enjoyed watching you squirm the entire time. It was fantastic. I'm out!
Yeah.
Damn it.
He just came on to disparage us and leave.
That's what he does. That's Tim's thing.
So, I mean, if people think this gig's easy, I'm not saying it's super, super hard, but, man, that shit gets stressful sometimes.
Absolutely. And, I mean, to me, I watched Ghostbusters when I was a kid probably 100 times.
Oh, for sure.
Saw Congo when I was a kid probably 50 times. I mean, so to me, that was like 10-year-old Drew was shitting his pants that there was a Ghostbuster on stage.
For sure, man. Like, that... I don't know. He transcends... He's one of the names, I think, that transcends this whole horror convention thing. Like,
Oh, yeah.
People that aren't into horror and necessarily wouldn't come to a convention. Like, if they know their name, then that's how I gauge if this is, like, a big deal. Because, a lot of people don't know who Bill Moseley is. But
Really?
I digress. No, man. Our buddy Nate, he's my barometer, dude.
Really?
Yeah, if Nate pokes his head up and, like, if I'm talking to him about, like, a show and I name a name and he's like, oh, okay, then I know that that's a bigger deal. Like, I know we're going to get talking about It, but he texted me today and he was like, hey, man, have you heard anything about It? The trailers look really good, and he's not, like, a horror person at all. Right. So for him to, take interest in it, I think it's going to be decent, but we can talk about that in a little bit. But, yeah, it's just, it's not that easy. And if you don't think it's not that easy, just type in Rose McGowan on EastCoastHorrorGroup.com and watch that panel.
What do you think about female directors?
I just think that we should just call them directors. Why can't we just do that? Come on.
Also, I'm shaving my head. What? What are you talking about? You're shaving your head. Anyway. I have a feeling she's a fucking nut job. So, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but after Ernie was Tony Todd, is that correct?
I believe so.
Tony's always good to talk to, though. He's got a couple new projects coming up. We talked about Candyman, which was fun, and just more stories about... What was the project that they filmed that in, Mike? Do you remember?
Cabrini Green.
I wanted to say Fiddler's Green, but I knew that wasn't right.
No.
Caprini Green. So this was something I hadn't heard. Maybe I just never paid attention before. Or maybe I was too, trying to think of the next question, trying to think of segues. But it said that they had to pay off gangs for protection.
Yeah. Everybody
on the set of the film.
Yep. There was 5 different gangs there, and they all had to be cool with it, and they all had to get paid. And pretty craziness.
I mean, I figure, why do you have to? You can't build a set?
I guess they wanted the real feel of it, and they got that. It's like straight up.
Oh, also, Tony Todd confirmed a theory on the show that we've had for a long time since talking to the guy who played Charlie Manson. What the fuck is his name?
Steve Railsback.
Steve Railsback, you did confirm that you cannot act negative.
You can't.
That was confirmed. I can't believe you threw that up there right in the middle of the panel. I was about to lose my shit.
I think when I watched the video, I know I said it. I looked at Tony, I looked at you, and I just looked right at Tim at the camera. I was like, "Yep, I did it."
That was awesome. Hello.
What a fucking asshole. But yeah, he talked about having bees and stuff in his mouth and walking with the bee wrangler and trying to be one with the bees, apparently. Like, there was a whole training session he had to go through on bees.
Yeah.
For the part.
Yeah, with the bee wrangler. And then we talked about other films. Obviously, we talked about Night of the Living Dead, and we talked about The Rock a little bit more. Not Dwayne Johnson, but the film The Rock.
Wait, what's your name?
My name?
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Oh, come on, son. Does The Rock play Mitch Buchanan in the show?
No, they all have different names.
Damn it.
There's no CJ or anything like that.
God damn it. Well, that ruined it.
Your life is ruined now.
It is. It is. What was I saying?
We talked to Tony Todd about The Rock.
Oh yeah, The Rock, and working with Nick Cage, and what the. I thought it was weird that Nick Cage got his own boat to go over. Why'd he get his own boat?
Because he can do whatever he wants. His uncle is Francis Ford Coppola.
But he's a shitty actor. Like, what the fuck?
No, there's a certain role that he's perfect in, but it has to be that role. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was two of them.
Leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah, and Lord of War.
On Air.
No, dude, he was terrible in Con Air. Fuck that. God, that would have been such a good movie had he not been in it.
But Face Off was great, despite him and John Travolta.
he was terrible in that. But Lord of War, he was good because he just played this soulless dude that just droned on about shit. Yeah. But the premise was so good that it was fine.
And the National Treasure films were pretty good, I thought, too.
Yeah, they were entertaining. I'll give him that. But other than that, he has made some garbage. And basically, he's garbage, and the movies could have been good.
So, and then he talked about working with James Bond himself, Mr. Sean Connery, on The Rock.
Yeah, dude, and how like you couldn't talk to him and shit.
Yeah, he had to go through about 8 people before you could even say good morning to Sean Connery.
Yeah,
that was true.
They flew in a trailer to put on the island for.
Oh yeah, they like got a Chinook or something and fucking this goddamn thing over there.
That's what you do, man. And he said you couldn't mention James Bond to him if you did speak with him. I thought that was odd.
The only thing I would ever want to say to him is, "I'll take the rapists for 1,000 Alex."
Welcome to the Rock.
That's therapists. So that was Friday night. Didn't do a ton of partying Friday night, just kind of chilled. I was still tired as fuck. I'm sure you were too. You're the one who drove there.
It was raining and it's fucking miserable outside.
Yeah, dude. It got like 4 inches of rain on Friday night or something.
Yeah. Pretty intense.
Fucking crazy. And so that wound down Friday night. And come Saturday, the first panel of the day was The Crow. Was the big reunion that they had with Ernie Hudson, of course, and Tony Todd, and James Abar, and Bai Ling, and Rochelle Davis.
Yep. We were not expecting Tony Todd to be there, but it was cool that he would do 2 panels.
And Ernie, too.
Yeah, Ernie did 2 panels. That's the first time that's ever happened, actually. So that was and I will say, here's another thing about moderating panels. In all the stuff that I read about James O'Barr prior to the Crow panel, I never came across the fact that that's why he wrote The Crow.
Yeah.
So had I would not have opened the panel with that question. So,
I mean, it's a good question to ask just because nobody else knew it, right?
I don't know. Like I looked in a lot of places and I just couldn't seem to find it. It was just like he wrote it, and no, yeah, it was a stupid question that I shouldn't have asked because it was already a somber panel to begin with. But I think we did a good job of kind of staying away from like direct questions of that.
Well, didn't they told you to not ask any Brandon Lee death questions, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I wasn't told. I was just kind of encouraged not to. Like
Well,
it didn't even happen, and Rochelle was breaking down. So
Right. They were just vaguely talking about. I mean, they were talking about just Brandon himself, kind of on set, and what he would do and how nice he was and humble. And Rochelle would just start crying.
Well,
go ahead.
Like I will say that in reading, and I don't think I was ever going to ask the question, but like he died, and they still had shit to film, so. The only one that really had to go back on set to film was Rochelle.
Right.
So you got to figure she's 14 years old. Like they hit it off crazy good. She had all these scenes, spent all this time with him, and then like boom, oh, he's dead. And then you got to go back and a body double has to be there on set. Like
I assume what is it? Just a guy with a green mask on, I assume, so they could CGI that shit in, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I also read, and this was from a pretty good source, that that they had a mold of his face that they were going to use on like an actor, like a stunt dude.
Right.
And they said it just looked too real. They couldn't handle it, so they fucking destroyed it.
Huh. Wow.
So that's why CGI was really pushed forward on that. Because everybody, it was like, every fucking movie always says it's like they're like a family. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But in reading, it really seemed like these people bonded like big time. And I think, I don't know, maybe Ernie Hudson would probably say I'm looking too deep into it, but with a film of that that context and that setting, like, I don't know, just to immerse yourself in that for 17 hours a day for God knows how long. Like, I don't know, I think that would wear on you, and I think they were a family, so I just couldn't imagine being part of that and then like, oh, he's dead. And then Paramount, when he died, they were like, fuck it, we're done. They just pretty much shelved the movie, and I forget the studio that came along and picked it up and put the money into the CGI and ultimately released the film. So, but again, all questions that you could have asked Ted.
I always kind of compared the Crow character to Heath Ledger's Joker. Kind of, I thought they were very same kind of. Just, obviously, one is serial killer, and the other is killing for vengeance. But I just thought that the kind of overall temperaments and kind of headspace that they were both in were similar.
Yeah, their voice is a little similar as well.
Yeah,
now that I think about it.
But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what Rochelle Davis went through, at that young, to have to not only lose one of your, I'm sure, probably best friends at the time, your work buddy, and still have to work with the guy with a mask on, thinking about him the entire time.
Yeah,
so that's
pretend to be that girl. Like,
yeah,
yikes, dude, that's a lot to ask.
It sure is.
But I also read about Michael Massey, who was the guy that actually pulled the trigger that ultimately killed Brandon Lee, and he left acting for like a year, if not longer. And he did a big interview for some article on The Crow, and he said he still wakes up like in nightmares, sweating about it. He just recently passed away. But it's a crazy story, man. Jokingly, I would not be friends with James O'Barr, because that dude's got a cloud over his head, man. But nice guy. Probably, the more I look at it, it's probably my favorite pop I own.
Well, obviously now.
I know he does it to every pop, but it's just so cool that the story behind it, and he just fixes it to the way it should look.
Yeah.
So that's fucking awesome, dude. I love it. But it was cool. It was a good panel. Ernie was legitimately willing to talk about the film,
Talk
which
about
was
a
nice.
movie. It was
Yeah.
only because I think that Tony Todd asked the question to him.
Yeah, that's true.
And they all did a pretty great impression of Michael Wincott too.
And it was very similar, yes.
Yeah. Wow, what the fuck is going on?
Bei Ling, she was actually pretty funny. Actually,
Yeah, dude. Her story was just great. This is her first job that she got when she came over from China. She didn't understand any English. And how the fuck you get through that movie with that? I have no idea.
Yeah, that's crazy. I had no idea she didn't speak English at the time. But
Being from China, Brandon Lee was talking about his father. Is a funny story she told, and she said she didn't know who she was, and they were like, "What?" But apparently, obviously, Bruce is not a Chinese name. That's a name that either he took as a stage name or whatever when he came here to do kung fu movies and teach kung fu and stuff. But when she was told his Chinese name, then obviously she knew exactly who he was. So thought that was an interesting story, and just about not wanting to do full nudity, so she had to learn the word nipple so that she could say no nipple. Oh man. Anyways, but yeah, going back to the pop. I just thought that was the cool thing that he did for people. That I just kind of walked up to him, gave him the pop, and he said that they didn't give him final approval on it, so he changed it, colored it with Sharpie on the box art and the actual figure to what he thought it should look like or what he would have approved, which was hilarious. And also he said that they still haven't paid him yet because he said whenever his agent sends him an email for payment, they write back in Chinese and nobody knows what the fuck it says.
nice.
So I thought that was an interesting story too. But another interesting story that he told me at his table was that I kind of just said, hey, on Reddit and Facebook and around the scene, there's always like every couple of years, somebody says that there's going to be a Crow reboot, a Crow remake, another Crow movie. And I asked him, I'm like, Jason Momoa was the last name that I heard. Is there any truth to that? And he took out his phone and showed me clips of Jason Momoa's audition reel and confirmed for sure that he is going to be the next Crow in what is titled on IMDb at least as The Crow Reborn. And that apparently Jason Momoa had been hounding him for a long time about this part, and he kept turning him down because he's too big, because he is a large man. If you don't know who Jason Momoa is, he's Aquaman, also Khal Drogo from Game of Thrones, and a myriad of other roles. He's just a big, scary fucking dude. But apparently he spent $20,000 of his own money on his audition reel because he wanted the part that bad, and he agreed to lose like 40 or 50 pounds for the role. So, and a guy like that, who basically sells himself as the heavy, you know what I mean? That's got to take a toll on you.
Yeah, it can't be good. I mean, because he's gonna have to beef up for the Aquaman movie.
Yeah, but I just thought that was kind of cool that was like, he was cool enough to tell me about that, just like didn't even hesitate. I was thinking, they must have an NDA or something, right? Like, how the fuck could he just tell me that? But he brought up that since he kept all creative control and owns the rights to the Crow and everything, he can probably just tell anybody whatever the fuck he wants to say.
Actually, Drew, that story has broke in the past week out on the interwebs. And
oh, really?
The photo I just put up on, if you're watching video, has started floating around. So I'm wondering if he told some other people at the convention that ended up posting it. So
Yeah, I mean, I was of two minds of that. Obviously, they would get traffic to the website, but I think having that relationship and having trust with those people is more important.
Yeah, but anyway, I got the picture up there now.
Yeah, cool.
It looks great.
Yeah, I mean, I like him as an actor. I think he'll do a great job. And usually, I would say that a remake can go fuck itself, especially of a movie that I hold so dear to myself. It was really like the first kind of anti-hero darker movie that I saw. I think I was probably like maybe 5th or 6th grade, and it kind of just helped a special place for me. Just, I mean, his old look and just the demeanor, and it really is. Here's my my bleeding hearts, my romantic Drew. It's a love story, right? I mean, he loved her so much that he came back from the dead to avenge her. So
You're such a softie.
I know, right? But I assume that it'll be some. I don't know if it's going to be an actual, not shot for shot, but a remake of the original Crow, or if it's going to go along, in canon with the rest of the Crow films. There's been some shitty ones, that's for sure. But we'll see. But what a tragic life that dude lived.
Yeah, dude. No joke. Like fucking, he looks hardened.
Yeah.
When you look at him, nice guy when you talk to him, sort of nice. But yeah, dude, I would not want have had his life. Sure.
If you want to find out why we say that, you should go to eastcoasthorrorgroup.com and check out the Crow panel as soon as we post it. And if you really, really liked it and want to see more, you can support us by buying a t-shirt at fastcustomshirts.com. No bell for that one, too?
You don't hear the sound effect on that one. It comes through on the t-shirts, so.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. I'm out.
So yeah, that was just a fun one all around, because we hadn't done it before, obviously, and it's a amazing film. If you haven't seen The Crow, go watch The fucking Crow.
Dude, I haven't seen The Crow.
I'm sure there's people out there who have never seen The Crow before.
It's not a world I want to live in.
I want to live in a world where people haven't seen The Crow. Oh fuck. But yeah, the next panel after that was none other than Halloween, of course.
Yeah. I was nervous as shit about this panel.
Were you?
Fuck
Oh,
yeah,
because-
well, not nervous.
yeah,
I was just like, come on, fuck. But it turned out all right.
Yeah, it was PJ, who was always amazing, and Tony Moran, who is hit and miss. You never really know what you're gonna get out of him, but he was amazing actually this time.
It was
Lots of
entertaining.
stories I hadn't heard of. Yeah, entertaining, to say the least. And it really had just a bunch of great stories, man. He's just a good storyteller. It's one of those guys who just has the art of bullshit on lockdown.
Yep.
So, lots of cool stories just about how he got the part, and putting the mask on the first time, and how they got the mask and redid it for it was like $1.89 or something, and just about having a budget that's small but still making an amazing movie. And he didn't go to the cast and crew screening because he didn't want to have anything to fucking do with the movie. Well, he said it's been the last decade or so that he actually saw the movie himself.
Yeah. He never fessed up to that movie to anybody.
Yeah.
Until the early 2000s.
And now look at him. I bet he's glad he did.
Yeah.
And who was his sister, Mike?
Erin Moran. She was from Joni Loves Chachi, and she was from something before that, but I don't remember.
Happy Days, and Joni Loves Chachi was the spin-off, because that show was based in Milwaukee. I pretty well had to learn everything about it, or they take me out of the city. I'm out.
It's kind of like what happens if you wear a Patriots jersey in Pittsburgh.
It's a very sad story.
So yeah. Anyway, Tony Moran was great. PJ was great. They had a lot of great stories to tell, stuff we've never heard before. Make sure you go check that out too as soon as we post it. And obviously the room on Saturday was much better attended. Was pretty much full nearly the entire day Saturday.
It was.
So that was nice to see. It's always nice when you have a good crowd in there and people are interested. There was a few people who went to every panel and asked a question on every panel, which was something I don't know if I've ever seen at a convention before.
Had she been wearing I know the one girl that was at like every panel. Had she been wearing an East Coast Horror Group T-shirt, she would have gotten a button.
Should have got a button, and you know what? I would have just gave her the mic and said, "You go do the panel."
She was good. She was very excited about it too.
She was.
It was nice.
Yeah, it was nice. So after that was the Jason panel, the Faces of Jason, Friday the 13th, whatever exactly you want to call it. And that was Kane Hodder, CJ Graham, Warrington Gillette, and half the time Derek Mears?
Yeah. It's a good description of how it went down.
Yeah, Derek Mears basically came in halfway through. We didn't have enough chairs on the stage, so I left. And just kind of continued from there. It's not having Steve Dash there definitely makes it different. I don't want to say that it wasn't good, because it was fun. Kane and CJ play well off of each other. They were kind of giving Warrington the business, as you will. One thing Kane did what made me very uncomfortable was kept making homophobic references about really anyone.
Yeah.
Really anyone he could. So that was strange and uncomfortable.
It was. I totally agree with you.
And the second thing, I guess, Derek Mears wasn't supposed to be on the panel at all. Somehow I think one of the Jasons said, "Hey, you're going to the panel, right?" And he didn't know, because he wasn't supposed to fucking be there. Because, Mike, you told me this, and I just want to reiterate that apparently if you talk to Kane about the later Friday the 13th films, Freddy vs. Jason, etc., that he will shit all over Paramount because they fucked him over. And I guess Derek doesn't want to be a part of that, because he still wants to maybe play Jason again.
Yeah, it was. Kane, if prompted, he'll definitely talk shit on Paramount, and Derek doesn't want any part of that. But he ended up coming to the panel and sitting in, and every question we asked him, he didn't really have an answer for.
Well, then he told us what his IQ was.
Yeah, he did.
What happened with that dude? He was so cool. I mean, we had him on the show a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Why is he not cool anymore?
I think his blood sugar was low, guys. He just seemed half awake. I got a question for you. So Kane Hodder, he rips on Paramount because he thinks having done Jason 4 times wasn't enough?
I think that the story is...
Because everybody else had less than him. Shouldn't he be grateful for what he got?
I think it was kind of cloak and dagger the way it happened with Freddy vs. Jason, though, if I'm not mistaken. That he was on board the whole time, and they kind of pulled the rug out from under him. Yeah. I also heard that Robert Englund, part of his, I think, something that he wanted Kane in the film if he was going to be in it as well, and obviously they pulled the wool over his eyes as well. So there was just some weird politics and shit going on, I believe.
I don't know.
Right?
I don't feel sorry for him.
Well, I don't feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
I do. I lay in bed at night. I can't sleep.
Yeah.
Mike oftentimes cries himself to sleep thinking, what would Freddy vs. Jason have been had Kane Hodder been there?
Life changing.
Jason Goes to Hell. He wasn't
Cha-cha.
Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah, he was.
Was he?
Yeah, Jason's not in it very much.
The first scene in Jason Goes to Hell, when they blow him up with a rocket launcher, do you remember that?
Yeah.
That dude's enormous. And Kane Hodder isn't any taller than I am.
That's all camera angles. Make you look old big.
Is that how you got that dick pic then?
Yeah. That's true.
But yeah, so Warrington Gillette. You asked the question, Mike, about Steve Dash and about what was going on with that.
I did.
You know what, Mike? Why don't you tell the story?
All right. So I was like, fuck it. This dude has really nothing else to talk about because we asked the makeup question. I was like, well, I'm just gonna ask it. And I said, we've had Steve at the show, so we've heard his side. What's your side? And he goes into this long, drawn-out story how
yes,
he was
He was fired up.
He was like just he was cast as one of the kids, and then he went there, and they're like, well, why don't you just be Jason? And he's like, okay, I'll be Jason. So I got in the makeup, and I filmed the makeup part, and then, it was over. He's like, I thought the director or something would be like the feet walking through the woods or the hands. And as he's talking, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
There's more shots with full-on Jason than just him.
Yeah. He's like, I left. I went home after shooting, and I don't know what happened, with Steve Dash or Steve Dashkowitz. And,
yeah, he kept not calling him his name.
Yeah, like this saying his name and then saying his real name. So I don't really know what that had to...
Was it supposed to incite some sort of anti-Semitic feelings? I don't understand why he did it either.
So, yeah, so he's like, but I don't want in on the drama. There's all this drama. I just want to be, thankful that I'm part of this franchise or whatever. And I was like, all right, whatever. It's raining like a motherfucker here. Broke the fourth wall. I'm sorry.
What do you mean? We're in the studio. We don't have any windows here.
Oh, yeah. That's the rain sound effect.
But, yeah, I mean, he was pretty pissed, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And, I mean, compared, having him on stage compared to having Steve Dash on stage, it's not even close.
No.
This dude's very vanilla. Doesn't really have a whole lot of shit to say. As where Steve Dash, you might as well just give him the microphone and say, do an hour of stand-up and talk shit on these two. Because it's real easy to fill up an hour with him. And just the nicest guy you could possibly think, too. And then so some guy in the audience basically says, oh, I love you guys, you're the best, blah, 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 sucking everybody's dick. And he's like, fuck Steve Dash. And Warrington was, happy about it. It's like, say it again, he's like, fuck Steve Dash. And everybody on stage is laughing about it. Not that it's not halfway funny, he would probably laugh himself. But it's because we see them all at the show together. CJ, I don't think, had anything to do with it.
No, CJ didn't say shit.
He was just kind of like, this is weird.
He was stone-faced, dude.
But Kane was egging it on. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's, it was an unfortunate happening, and,
Kane was egging it on because when Steve Dash is in the panel, Kane is no longer the most interesting person on the stage. He steals the spotlight every time.
Dude, Kane could go to the Special Olympics and still not be the most interesting person there.
I'm out.
Wasn't me.
He also entered the panel by shoving me in the back.
Dude, that was great, man. I saw it happening.
It scared the shit out of me.
Yep.
But,
I think I got that on video, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
You need to, Mike. That needs to be a meme.
Oh yeah,
that needs to. Yeah.
Jason pushing Drew.
Yeah. Well, little baby Drew face Poos Seidler.
Fuck.
I'm out.
This is our show. You can't say it on our show. You only say it on Dead On.
He said it.
Speaking of Dead On, we'll have one next week on this Tuesday. That's Dead On Movie Reviews at 9 Eastern next Tuesday. I will be reviewing Possession. Mike, what are you going to review?
I don't know. I'm going to see it on Saturday.
I'm also going to see it this weekend.
And I don't know. I don't know if I know Lizzie is reviewing it.
Yes. Our special guest host will be Lizzie Borden.
Not Lizzie Borden. Lizzie Beers.
Lizzie Beers.
My God. Dude.
I knew it wasn't Lizzie Borden because she killed her. Lizzie Borden had an axe and gave her father 40 whacks.
Yep.
When she realized what she'd done, she gave her mother 41.
Nice.
Fuck you, Tim. Get out of here.
I'm out. Cha.
So, and then on Sunday we finished it up with Sid by himself and Bill by himself. Sid threw Mike a little bit of a curveball, I guess, then threw us a little bit of a curveball. On Friday, Sid had a conversation, right, Mike?
Yeah, I saw him at. He was leaving the restaurant as we were entering the restaurant for breakfast, and he was like, "Hey, Michael, how you doing?" I'm like, good, Sid, how are you? And he said, hey, let's, on the panel on Sunday, let's spice things up. And he was like, see ya, and just left. It's like, man, what?
See ya!
Yeah.
We've done a panel with this guy so many times that we basically just have autopilot. It just works. He's like, let's spice it up a bit.
I didn't know what he meant by that.
I asked him if he ever fucked Pam Grier. He said no.
Yeah, dude, I asked him about Hollywood parties, and that answer wasn't very good. So I still don't think I understand what he means by spice it up.
I don't know either. He just wanted a dish. He talked a little bit of shit, I guess.
Not as much as I thought, but what can you do?
He said he turned down the role for Marcellus Wallace in Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, because it was a one-day contract.
Yeah, and he didn't realize that doesn't mean anything whenever Quentin Tarantino is the director.
Yep.
Because, I mean, how long did it take to shoot Django? Almost a year, I think, right?
Yeah.
So that was his answer to the question: was there ever a role that you tried out for but didn't get, or upset that you didn't take? And that was it. And I'd say, yeah, yep, that's probably it.
Did you notice he brought up Jason as Star Command of his own volition? Did you notice?
I was going to bring that up. When Sid will ask questions to the audience. Have you ever seen this movie? Ever seen that movie? TV show? And Tim said yes to everything. So right after he would ask a question, he would just point at Tim and say, "You've seen it."
I still haven't seen Spider Baby.
What?
Honest to God, it has been sitting there in my queue, and I've never been in the right mood to hit that one, because I know I want a good scare movie, then I'm gonna watch it. But
I wouldn't say it's a good scare movie. It's definitely weird, though.
Yeah, well, I've been lately kind of doing some lighter stuff because the TV shows I've been watching are dark. So I'm like, okay, the movies, I'll watch comedies and stuff. So I got to switch that up. I got to start watching comedy TV shows again, and then I'll be able to get through some of these movies. But now I have the movie pass, so I'm going to be out all the time. So
just live in the darkness full time like the rest of us.
Fantastic.
What?
I'm out. Cha-cha.
So, yeah, so it was a little bit of a different panel. That was fun. And then Bill, we got to talk to. And it was nice to talk to Bill. We haven't had a panel with Bill Moseley in a while. So it was cool. It was kind of felt fresh and clean.
So fresh and so clean.
Ain't nobody dope as me. I'm just so fresh and so clean. Anyways, so what did you think about the Bill panel? That was a little bit more out of the ordinary, something that people should catch.
He will tell you in the panel which non-horror film that he was in that you should watch.
It's true, and he also exclaims that he is a Paris Hilton fan.
Yes, he does that, and he also does a nice little tribute to Tobe Hooper.
It's true. He does a good Tobe Hooper impression as well.
Yeah, and he does a good Cook impression too.
Oh God, you're right. And just kind of talking. One of my favorite stories that he tells, and I try to bring it up every time, is the scene where he gun rapes the girl in the bedroom, like right in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
And I mean, as an actor, when you're looking at it, you're like, ugh, that's gross. But I never really thought, as an actor, you got to do that 30 fucking times in a row.
Right.
And I'm sure that's not easy to do. I mean, even somebody who has been in movies like that and who, enjoys dark films, man, I don't want to pistol rape my friend for like a whole day.
No, it's not exactly, would think to be a fun day of shooting.
Yeah.
Maybe it is, all depending on the type of person you are.
It's true.
So
I have to mark the tape where Drew actually admits that he wouldn't enjoy gun raping a friend all day, because I don't think people will believe it.
Well, I mean, I have to say that when it's going out there in the interwebs.
Oh, okay.
I don't want
Okay.
I know. Door.
All right. I'm out.
I don't know about this talk.
What do you mean? Oh, please. Don't know about this talk.
Simon Bamford.
What the fuck? Simon Bamford is going to be at Chicago Days of the Dead, along with the rest of the Cenobites, and Frank from Hellraiser. Frank's big, dude. That's awesome.
You know, I like that addition. That's a good one.
Still got my fingers crossed for Clive Barker, but we'll see. We will see. But yeah, let's bring up Chicago again. Sean Astin, I guess is how you actually pronounce his name.
Yeah, there's no U in that last name.
Yeah, you're right. I apologize for that. It's
Hey.
gonna be- and I hope we'll have a panel. Because basically, I'm just going to talk to him for an hour about Lord of the Rings.
Then shoot myself.
No, obviously, we have to throw some Goonie stuff in there. And Loving Dragons has to be in there. But no, obviously, everything I want to know about Lord of the Rings, I'm going to be able to ask him. I get to finally ask somebody in the movie why they cut Tom Bombadil's scene.
Well, the union didn't pay Mr. Bobadil enough. So,
Never say it again.
he left.
Never say it again.
Bombadil?
Yes, Bombadil. Anyway,
Babadook.
you didn't even think that was a movie.
I didn't. It's the stupidest name, and then I watched it, and it was the stupidest movie.
Oh, man. So, real quick, we only got like 10 minutes left. I want to talk about It and its opening. It looks like it's predicted to make, after the weekend's done, about 75 million. Budget was 35. So I'd say that that's a win. It's supposed to be a 2-part film. I would assume with that much money, it will absolutely be a 2-part film.
Yeah, the sequel just got greenlit today.
So well, there you go. The second part is supposed to be delves more into the backstory, I think, of Pennywise, like the book did. And I'll just read a quote from Bill Skarsgård. There's a depth and a change in Pennywise from the first scene to the last, and there's a journey there. And I'm glad you said that, and it resonated with you. It's exactly what I want people to feel. Wait a minute, what is this thing? And I think that's what I wanted, and that's where I want to go for the second one, to delve into the psychological and metaphysical spaces of this trans-dimensional being. There's a lot of $10 words there.
There is, man. That was heavy-handed right there.
There's a Swede for you.
Wow. Metaphysical, right?
Yep. Well, he is metaphysical and also trans-dimensional. But I mean, fuck. Why don't you just say monster? Like, what the fuck, dude?
Doesn't sound nearly as sexy.
Anyway. But, Jesus.
I was just watching the original It prior to the show.
With Tim Curry.
Yes. And it's a good story, man, but it's just that it misses on, like, pretty much everything. It's just not very good.
No, I mean, you're not wrong there. And it's not what we're used to nowadays with what they can get away with on, in movies compared to what they could then. Like, there's some really horrible things that happens to these kids that I don't know if they'll talk about in the movie just because it's still kind of taboo. So, there was a lot of stuff that they had to leave out that made it much more dark. Although I will say that Tim Curry's portrayal of Pennywise is just absolutely classic and will always be the Pennywise that I think of in my head.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I don't think I think out of all the horror films, I think this one begged for a remake more than any other one.
Yeah, because I mean, there was a point in time where they were just closing their eyes, it seemed like, picking a Stephen King book and like, let's turn this into a movie.
Yeah.
Remember, what was the fuck? Was it Graveyard Shift with Brad Dourif? It was just awful. There were some good ones. I mean, Salem's Lot obviously is amazing.
Some of them are good, but the vast majority are terrible.
Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. Your favorite is The Langoliers, correct?
Yeah, love it. Stupid
It had
shit
Balky,
ever.
dude.
Yep, dumb as fuck.
One word, Balky.
Yeah, he sucked too.
but he couldn't smell or taste anything.
Hate him. Hate the whole movie. Especially when those things just start like eating. Ugh,
I
stupid.
think that like it was good, but it could use another hour or so.
Yeah, at least. I think they needed to flesh a few more things out. Some things were left too ambiguous. It needed more time.
The joke about that is the movie's already about 3.5 hours long.
Fuck that. Oh, it is also 2 hours and 15 minutes, so that's a long horror film.
It is.
It was actually a TV miniseries. It was shown over 2 nights when it originally came out.
I know they were having originally. It was supposed to be like they were going to shoot a film that was about the kids and then about the adults. And did that go away? Like there were going to be 2 movies?
No. That's what
that's
you're
pretty-
hearing about now. The version that came out now is just the kids,
Right.
Oh, okay.
and the sequel is going to be the adults. The mini-series is more like the book, which I haven't read the book, but that's what I'm always told. It bounces between the kids and the adults.
Yeah.
They changed it for this movie series. They wanted to do just the kids, run that through, and then they're going to do the adults in the sequel.
I dig it.
I'm interested to see who they cast too.
Yeah, that'll be interesting, and I also have to give it up to them for going R.
I'm out.
They were like, fuck it. You know,
This
it's
was the widest released rated R movie ever.
good. So it should be, because this story isn't fucking PG-13, and it sure as hell ain't
Nope.
your fucking miniseries.
There isn't.
Who the fuck thought of that?
The same person who probably thought it'd be a good idea to make The Shining a TV series.
Oh, that was Stephen King, yo.
I actually have the audiobook for it, and it weighs in at something like 34 hours or something. And I'm like,
Biggie.
oh my god.
Things like a fucking phone book
Yeah.
from China.
But I heard it's excellent, so
It is. It's good.
I'll get on that at some point.
If you like the babies.
What
out.
did you say?
Babies.
What about babies?
Babies.
Anyway, moving on. Mike, the new American Horror Story season started. What was it? Tuesday?
Something. Wednesday, maybe? I don't know.
AAHS Cult.
Alta.
So I haven't seen it yet. Mike, explain to me and explain to the listeners what we can expect from this first episode. If you could, weigh it against previous seasons and try to be as spoiler-free as possible.
It's very all over the place, much like a lot of the season openers or seasons. Evan Peters is a main character, and then Sarah Paulson is your other main character. And it's sort of telling you these people's stories,
Right.
On a certain evening. I don't know if you know the whole setting of the film.
I don't know.
So, but on that evening, it starts there, and then it goes forward of their lives. She plays.
Oh, wait, no, it's when Trump gets elected, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's it starts that evening, and it chronicles her life. She is married to I forget the girl's name. They're married. They have a daughter, and then Evan Peters is. I'm not really sure what he is. He other than really fucked up, because that's what he is. So you have those two, and it's pretty much about those two, and clowns.
Oh, really?
Copious amounts of clowns.
Huh. What's that have to do with the occult?
I don't know. It's there's a lot of clown. There's a lot of clown rape. There's clown
Wait, what?
masturbation. Clown masturbation.
Is Twisty in it?
Twisty is all up in it.
Nice.
He is back in full effect.
What's the guy that plays him? Fuck. He has 3 names.
Yeah,
He's a 3-name guy.
he's been in a lot.
He has been. He's a great
Bill
actor.
Cosby
Yep.
plays him, yes.
William Cosby, actually. But yes.
William Bill Cosby.
Shut the fuck up. So John Carroll Lynch, by the way, is his name.
John Finch.
It's one thing I'm excited about that you mentioned from there. From what I could take was that Evan Peters is a main character this time. I think that they got away from that a little bit. I mean, he did great as I'm just going to call him H.H. Holmes in the Hotel season, but didn't have a whole lot of screen time. Yes, Mr. Marsh. But obviously, first and second season, he got his acting chops underneath him there, and I was really excited to see him going forward. And they really gave him literally nothing except for a brain-dead Frankenstein and Coven. He does his. I just thought it was written poorly in Freak Show, and didn't have much screen time in Hotel either. As I said. Anyway. So is he? You said he's fucked up. So he's doing a good job so far. He has a character that he can actually get a hold of.
Yeah. He's. I think he's definitely found that character, and I think he's gonna be really good. Like I said, you don't really know what he is yet, or what his function is.
Is he the Rubber Man?
No, he is not.
Because they're gonna try to tie them all together eventually, right?
I guess so. I guess that's the end game.
How long do you think it's going to take for Zach Quinto to come back?
I'm sure he's way too big for this.
That's what I mean. Like, he's not, though. He's Spock, but what the fuck else is he?
I don't know.
You have Kathy Bates, Academy Award-winning actress.
She's in a new TV series on Netflix called Disjointed, and she owns a dispensary.
Yeah, it's about weed, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's really funny. The only problem is they have this cheesy-ass laugh track, and it fucking just destroys it for you, man. It's so horrible. It's like, why is this laugh track here? Make it go away. But
Can't watch it.
oh, man. It's such a good show. She is hilarious in it, but that laugh track is just a killer.
The killer laugh track, dude. There's a film that's been untapped so far.
Well, now someone's gonna take it.
Oh, damn it. Royalties, motherfucker. Anyways. So, that's the end of the show, guys. Sorry to be a little bit anticlimactic there, but that's going to be it for this week. It was nice to get back in the saddle. Nice to talk about Days of the Dead. Nice to have Mike and Tim around again to, horse around with, we'll call it. But always, of course, a pleasure to have all of you listening and supporting us. I appreciate that. So make sure you're here next Thursday and every Thursday for another episode of From Dusk Till Dawn Radio, for the con scripts and culture that you can stomach.
We need to become the official podcast of grapefruiting.
Hello, this is George Romero. You're listening to East Coast Horror Group.
He's dead as hell, too.
Show is.
Hey man, I think I like being scared, and I wish you all were there. Man, I really think that I like being scared.
Oh, we're getting sued by someone.
Pretty sure we violated
Ginger,
sort of intellectual property right there.
ginger.